Swing trade with a plan. Active Trader Setup's trading package can show you multiple day price advances, no emotion trading, build discipline with our charts, and follow your rules. Package comes complete with charts, scanners, and training. A trading system is a simple set of rules that define how you will enter or exit a trade. Trading systems work because they create disciplined trading decisions, eliminate emotion, which will create consistency in your trading. Give your trading an edge. Our charts can be a guide designed to build your self-discipline. Learn our trading system and strategies, hone your skills, and build a trading system that works for you. Eliminate your emotion, follow your rules, and maximize your trades. Swing trading with Active Trader Setup's trading package will teach you discipline, rules, and a plan with no emotions. Learn to forget what you think and trade what your rules and plan will allow. Take a look at this chart right here. We have two displays on the chart. This is always there. You'll learn more about what that means. And this box comes and goes. As this was setting up to turn this line from red to green, this box appeared and gave the trigger price prior to the trade. As this was coming up to this level here, which was above where it actually triggered at 47.43, there was a box in this corner giving a higher price to trigger the red to green crossover for the long trade watch and alert. As this pulled back, this recalculated. We use a projection system that's always looking forward from where we are. And as it looks forward, it gives you the price, if it's applicable. Many of the times during like this fall, you will not have this box present at all because it's not going to turn from red to green anytime in the near price action. As we project forward, this is proprietary to our system, we're always projecting. So right about here, this was projecting a factor or two higher to turn this red to green. In this case, it pulled back. As it pulled back, each pullback, we recalculate and relook. And we're always changing the price for the long watch. So as it proceeded back here, it gave us a long watch prior to at 47.43 for a long watch on this stock. As it came back up, it triggered, and as soon as it triggers, the box immediately is going to look, as always, it's going to project forward. What if we pull back, or what if we go up? So right now it knows if we pull back to 47.18, it can turn this line back to red. That generally doesn't happen, but it can happen if you get in a little chop right here and then continue up or turn back down. Most of the time, once this happens, if you actually have a trend, because this is called a trend shift pivot zone. A pivot is a change of directions. So if you actually have a trend, generally this will not go red to green back to red. But it is looking forward from each of the dots. It looks forward 2 factors up or down, what will happen, and it knows if it goes down 2 factors, or in this case just 1 factor, 47.18 would turn this back to red. So that's why that box is there. As you move away from the green line, the box will disappear. It will come back when it needs to. So you always got this as a guide in our system. Just looking at this chart, we teach what to expect the trade moves to be. We know we don't want to get in, for instance, right here as this stock was going up, we don't want you to go long until the trigger price, because we expect a possible pullback. We teach you that if this goes out too far above 3 dots or more, which in this case, had it triggered green another dot or two above, it would have been further than we really like to see it. So we teach you to wait on the pullback, and it will pull back to this line and then turn and head back up. In this case, we don't want to get long at all because we haven't had the trigger yet. We expect a pullback. Many times it'll pull back directly to the line and instantly turn and come back up. I believe this pullback happened near the end of day. This is a swing trading chart for this particular stock, and the reason we classify it as that is because multiple days have all come through during this entire chart. This is not a high ATR stock, so this is from the end of July over to August the 25th. So this is a swing trading algo factor for this particular stock. Other stocks will day trade on this same factor. This stock, if you wanted to day trade for these smaller moves, you can do that by moving back a factor. We teach you how to figure out which charts are best for day trading and which charts are best for swing trading. If you pull up a stock that's got this kind of movement and multiple day breaks, and that's what these little dotted lines are, then you know you're on a swing trading chart. Here we're going to go over a few of the features in our charting package that you learn to build your rules and your expectations from. You can find out more details over at ActiveTraderSetups.com under features, many pages that show many charts and define what they mean and what they imply in more of a visual tutorial. We're not going to go into that much depth in this video. We do go in much more depth in our training and education, live as well as videos. Some of the features of the charts, we use only what you see on this chart. That's all we use. We keep it simple. If you want to try to take a trade that's making a reversal, whether it be a day trade or swing trade, we would recommend here that that's highly probability of a big move up. But here we don't recommend to take the short. And we teach because we don't recommend to take the short at the top. We don't know. It may just be going to slightly pull back and make another leg up. It was starting to build some momentum here as indicated by our green. Everything's color coded. Red is negative, green is positive, and we use that throughout our system. And then we use a yellow and blue on our momentum indicator down at the bottom as well as on the chart overlay. The setup that we see here coming from the bottom is a quick movement up. This, first of all, is early in the morning. The stock gapped down some, sold off a little more very quickly, and rapidly started back up. If we get a rapid movement in our first two dots, or first two plots of a reversal, and we consider a rapid movement when we can come from red or yellow down here instantly into blue. We have a zero line on our, we call it the STS edge. It's going to give you an edge in your trading. If we have that instant move up, we look for a continuation. That don't mean it's going to continue to go up without doing some movement. We teach you about the expectations of the price movement. That's the first signal here that this could be a strong bounce. We also picked up our force indicator simultaneously at the same time during this period. And this stock ended up giving a very nice move throughout the rest of that day. It was a very strong day. This all happened during a 1 day period all the way back up to here. And that indicates each dot on this particular chart is a 25 algo. That's 25 cents. So from this area here, we end up about $1 movement by the end of the day. Again, it's a low ATR stock. And all this was coming down fast. You can see the time right here, 9:30, 9:39. It came on down. This was probably more like 10 o'clock, 10:15. So it did sell off pretty hard, but a good bit of this movement, which was multiple dollars down, sometimes they're so erratic you can't make that trade. It happens so fast. In this case, it did sell off, but this is we're looking at the signal for the re-entry on this part of the chart, what to expect, expected moves. Next item we have is when we get strength in this edge indicator, it will go from blue to green, getting really strong, and we'll maintain this force alert here. As this stock came up, the second thing we look for is we have our box telling what's going to turn this red to green. That would have happened right along in this area. We already had strength coming into the move, and this is exactly what we expect. We expect our force indicator on this pullback to pull back slightly and go right back to force if we already have it. Now when we come up, what we prefer is to have this yellow overlay both top and bottom, and that will be indicated by a solid yellow line we have right here. So what happens when we get a perfect setup, and the perfect setup is generally a actual downtrend. We use this system on our alerts. We don't alert unless we have the perfect two blues at the same time to eliminate chop that may be red, green, red, green, red, green in sideways movement, not actually a trend. So we try to eliminate looking at stocks that are not in the better setup. We can come to this chart. We see what we've got setting up here. We're expecting a pullback. If we even went green way up here, we expect this to probably pull back like it did here. We're always going to get a pullback. If you're a Fibonacci person, this is not a Fibonacci system, but it's all the same thing. You move up, you pull back, you move up. You can draw a fib line from here to here, and you probably find about a 38.2 fib retracement there. This movement was multiple factors all the way up to here. And if you did the math from the bottom to the top, this is a 13 factor move, and this actually pulled back 5 factors. 13 times 38% is 5 factors. So you get those Fibonacci retracements, or if you're a Fibonacci trader, you'll love this setup. We expect this slight move back, sometimes go all the way back to the red line, turn and go back up and turn it green. Sometimes it'll turn it green, go back and revisit, and then take off again. We generally teach that we expect a 4 to 6 factor pullback at a point in time, and then we're going to turn and run 8 to 10 factors. So this particular break was 1, 2, 3, there's 4 moves up, and we got 2, 3, 4, 5 factor pullback. Probably actually went slightly lower and may have even touched the line to the penny. Many times you'll see this pull back 1 or 2 cents right off this line. If I want to take this trade, part of our system is this current value is the current value of the last dot plotted. You know it's a closed dot because it's connected by the dotted line. In this case right now, we're fluctuating out here, and the current price is 47.67. And the last plotted dot was 47.68, actually close of the dot. The time period between dots can be anywhere from 20 seconds to multiple days, depending on your ATR of your stock and in the price movement. Stock can sit in one place for a long period of time. Right here, I would take this value if I wanted to play this setup, and this is what we teach. We've got our pullback. We're coming back into our line. Our first breakout and pullback, we expect to retrace. That's our retracement setup. And if you want to wait on the full retracement trigger from this dot to this dot, that is the price in the box at the time. If you want to have confidence in this trade, you use the edge that it hasn't plunged way back down into red on this pullback. It barely crossed the 0 line. Also, we didn't pull back our force indicator, very weak back to red. So we can expect a bounce here. We're not scared of that bounce, and if we want to take this trade early, right at near the bottom, I will many times take the current price, which is the price of the exact price to the penny of the dot. This RZR, GZR's green zone, red zone. If this is the next level down to plot another dot plus 1 cent. So if I believe that I'm going to hold here and not proceed down, I can take this trade, and that's my stop to the penny. If I don't believe it can plot another dot, since this price is already on the chart, I don't have to figure anything out. The less decisions you make in your trading, the more zoned in on what you're doing you can have your mind on. If you're having to decide how many shares you want to trade, where should I put my stop, and make it all complicated, you got a lot of thinking to do in a very short period of time. You just need to figure out if you want to get in the trade or not. Here's your stop pre-planned for you right on the chart if you're taking this and you got the conviction that it's going to hold here, and this next dot down is going to be below that green line, and you say, I don't believe it's going to take it out, so I'm going to go long here. That's your stop. And then we teach to expect a 8 to 10 factor move. Many times it can go much more than that depending on the momentum, especially if it's an intraday trade. This particular move was exactly 8. The first retracement is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the top. It was just getting into some momentum here. If we can break momentum above this blue line that we overlay our momentum indicator onto the chart, and we've got momentum at the bottom, which would be indicated by this being blue as well, you can expect a continuation. In this case, we didn't have the blue at the bottom, so it pretty well failed there. It had started momentum back here on the top side. We went yellow to blue, but we did not have the blue on the bottom. We want the blue on both sides for increased momentum, just like you had here. You had the double cross from yellow to blue, and we got pretty strong here on our edge indicator. We're back green on our force indicator, and you get this move up. If you can actually get this line out above the upper blue and we can continue with our lower blue line, we're going to accelerate. We teach that as well. So the next setup is the short down here. As this pull back here, you'll notice as it came down, the edge indicator remained relatively strong, whereas here when we reversed, the edge indicator went from the red to blue before we had 2 dots plotted and indicated a strong movement up, and that was verified by our force indicator going green way down low. Up top here, as it reversed, we did not get that straight down into yellow, so we don't want to take that short. It may just pull back and then go another leg again, depending on other factors, of course. But as it's pulling back, we don't want to get short. And we may, if we're in a long-term swing trade, we want to be aware of what's happening, but we may not want to get out yet. Many times you'll get a couple of visits here and continue on up. Also, you can go up to your next factor size chart, which would be, in this case, from 25 to 50, and see what you may see there. You may be coming up into the bottom of the next factor up to give you insight as to why this is failing here. We supply support and resistance charts in our system, which you can learn about over on our website under the features, that have exact plots on the charts, old resistance, old highs, old lows, things that may be resistance when we get here. They all interact together. This is your trend indicator and expected price movements. And then you use support, resistance, VWAP, and other factors to pinpoint areas that we may get into resistance. This is all about price action on this particular chart, and this is where our trading decisions come in play. If we're right here and we had resistance here and we're setting this up, we're expecting to break resistance. In this case, we've run as far as we think we should and we start to pull back. We don't have this force down, so we don't go short in this case. As we're coming down, once we broke this line, sometimes you'll break the line and just come right back up through, never turn it red and continue up. In this case, it continued on down. Now we expect we're 1, 2, 3, over 3 factors down below the line. It actually turned it red right here. It did retrace the next morning. This was the end of one day. Here's your day break line. The next day it ran back up and went right to this line and rejected. This is what we expect to happen when we're moving down. The first break, we expect a retrace. Retrace fails, confirms the downward momentum. Now when this turned back up, it turned up pretty strong. Toward the end of the day, it actually had bounced 50 cents off the bottoms, which if you'll look here, what is it lining up with? It's real close to where this dot was before. So this is where it pulled back and bounced. When it sold off here, it was near support, where it had been supported right here. It held that area. That's exactly to the penny the same price. Now, where the actual low was, we would look at our support resistance charts there to the penny and see how close this actually came there. It did reverse. That would give you caution to go short. But when you get your retracement, what we expect it to do, back to the level, again, just like this trade, you can go short here, look up on your box, there's your current price of that particular dot at that time. If you say, I don't believe it's going another dot up, I'm going to short this right here, then here's your price right here for your stop. There's your short setup, stock sold off, multiple factors to the downside. Now notice one thing, when this crossed down right here, it's a little above $49. When it got to the low down here, it's around 46, looks like around 46.50. Realize that's a 5% move. If you're an active trader, this went from here around $48 up to the $50 and some change. If you can make 5% moves multiple times a year with your money, you do the math. This continues on down, and as it retraced, it kept holding where it's supposed to. Never did get even a force back up. I want you to notice right here, though, we didn't get the right here when we crossed green to red. We got blue on both areas. We just hit this support area and we held and bounced back up. When we started back down, the first thing that happened right here, we already had a blue at the bottom. When this blue rejoined the trade, and many times you will have that happen, the opposite. If this goes up and this is already failing and you take the direction of your candles, it's showing you momentum in the direction you're already traveling, momentum increase. So right here, this gave a momentum increase to the downside, and you got a nice push down. You only had one little variance. This was right at the end of a day. Many times stocks will turn and go the other way at the end of the day where they're going up. They pull back a little, going down. They go up a little right into the close. That could actually happen minutes into the close. Continuation down again. Bounces, holds, sells off again. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves down. This time, that's on the second time it retraced. And then it starts to level out here. It starts to level out. We're not interested in re-entering another trade. We want to decide where we want to get out. You can actually move back, and we teach this in day trading or swing trading. We want to go back to our next level in the smaller direction, which could be a 10 in the case of this chart. and we'll use that for our stops. I'll take something like Apple, day trading it. I'll use a 25 factor for a day trade because we got a high ATR stock, and I'll use the 10 for my stops. And as I break away and get a big profit play going, I will actually move myself into a 5 factor as just a guide that I know until it can take that 5 red to green or green to red, I'm not interested in getting out. I was in a trade just a few days ago, big $3 move on Apple, and I was chatting with a counter trend trader all the way up after about $1.25 into the move, was telling me, get out, take your money, get out, take your money. I run another $1.75 in there with a $3 move in Apple that day, simply because I used my system as my rule until it told me any cautionary thing to worry about. I wasn't getting out. And it just kept going and kept going. Even on a tiny little factor, it would never turn it green back to red. And until it did, I didn't get out and ended up maximizing my trade. I gave myself an edge and I stayed with my plan. Trading plan, teach discipline rules. If you can develop yourself a plan, and this can be the plan for you if you learn how to trade it. You can swing trade or day trade using our system.